creating the Supervisorial Redistricting Advisory Committee.
Good afternoon, Chair Vasquez, members of the board. Michelle Hapner with the County Administrator's Office. I'm here today to give you an update on the Census 2020 data and solicit feedback in determining and appointing members to your Redistricting Advisory Committee. So as you know, there's a requirement for counties to adopt their new boundaries at least 174 days prior to the next election, which sets the deadline for the county at December 15th. Every 10 years, there's a requirement to redraw those district boundaries using the data collected following each census, which is conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau. And they recently announced a delay in releasing the data from April 21st to the end of September, as Supervisor Brown had previously mentioned during the ledge update. The problem we have now is that the Fair Maps Act also requires that the incarcerated populations in California be excluded from the population data, which the state has anticipated would take them at least 30 days to complete once the census data is released. This would then push our timeline back to the end of October, which leaves us 45 days to complete our districting project. So we are here today to ask you to consider a resolution to consider a resolution in appointing members to your Redistricting Advisory Committee. The reason why we're bringing this forward is we can see that there are time constraints for getting this project done. However, there are several things that we can do ahead of the census data coming out. And so we are working also on putting together a website that will start educating our public and also help to solicit applicants for your advisory committee. So that brings me to the resolution. So at your February 2nd meeting, you elected to appoint a redistricting advisory committee. The resolution in front of you today for consideration is to enable the board to appoint members to that advisory committee. You will notice that there are two fill-in-the-blank areas on the resolution where staff is requesting your preference on the size of the advisory committee. And due to the timeline we just spoke about, the constraints, staff recommends each board member appoint up to 2 members from each district, totaling 10 members that is representative of your districts. Staff also recommends the main goal of the Redistricting Advisory Committee to be to assist in the community outreach to help inform the Fair Maps Act requirements to include communities of interest when redrawing the supervisorial district boundaries. So with that, I'd like to hand it to the chairman for board discussion on how you would like to and how many you would like to consider as part of your advisory committee.
Monica.
So I would like us each to have 3 to make a total of 15. I have 3 cities, Mitch has 4, John has 3, Jim has 2, and Erin also has a lot of community of interest in her portion of Vallejo. And I think this is really important, and I think based on the new rules that have gone through, that having 3 folks per each of us will be able to bring not only more people engaged into it, but making sure that communities of interest are taken care of. So my suggestion would be that we have 3 per person.
John?
Yes, Jim.
I don't know if it should be on the record, but I agree with Monica.
Please mark it down. Please mark it down.
And the reason I think we should have 3 is it's an odd number. 2 is 10, that's the even number. You could end up with ties, whatever recommendation. So 3, I think, is a good number. And so I definitely would support that. So that's a good suggestion.
So let me ask a question. Is it 3 from your district, or is it 3 countywide? Because it's easy to pull people from the cities, but we have to remember that we also have the unincorporated.
No, each supervisor would, I think, appoint 3, and I would assume it'd be from your supervisorial district. I would hope.
But where we split a city, some of us do that, split cities. I just wanted to make sure that the unincorporated has a say in this.
If I may, through the chair, I would think as each of us, we know which areas we have and would hope that since an unincorporated portion is also a community of interest, that would be one of our 3. I don't want to make that mandated, but I would think that that's also our job, is to get a taste of everybody.
Yeah, so we rely on our own good judgment.
Why, John, why wouldn't we say that there has to be 5 from unincorporated and each supervisor should appoint 1?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good solution. Aaron will have to find a friend in the unincorporated
Yeah, I
side
was
of town.
gonna say that's not. I'll give up a unincorporated.
No, you can
I
call
mean,
someone.
I do. Well, I don't really have any unincorporated areas in my.
I know, but you know a lot of people in the unincorporated area. You could appoint someone.
So it's not strictly by supervisorial districts. It's that 5 would come from the unincorporated and the rest would come from the cities, I guess, if that works.
Well, okay. So in my situation, then I can appoint 2 that reside in my district, and then do I give up 1, or do I find an unincorporated person?
Yeah, you get an unincorporated person. John, I think it ought to be a minimum of 5 because, I might want to do 2 unincorporated, 1 city. And so just a minimum of 5, and each supervisor has to appoint at least 1.
That works too. Because the only representation the unincorporated has is the Board of Supervisors. City residents have their city council and the Board of Supervisors. I've often been told that you're our representative because we don't live in a city, we don't have a city council representing us. So if it's a minimum of 5, you get to make your choice on the other 2 that you have, where you want them to come from.
Through the chair, somehow that's not fair for Supervisor Hannigan, unless I say to her, hey, she can pick somebody from Green Valley.
No, she gets to pick.
No, I'm just saying because, well, okay,
That's why I asked the question.
Well, I would
repeat the comment. I didn't hear it.
beg your pardon?
Can you repeat your comment? I didn't hear it.
Well, it's not fair then because, in other words, Green Valley is unincorporated. It's in my district. It's not that far away from you, and that would give you something. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just trying to figure out a way that when we're working on this redistricting, that we have community of interest. And so, whomever Supervisor Hannigan might pick, is that somebody that's a community of interest in her district?
Well, I see
That was my question.
Right, and
So I would take a second to remind everybody, and I know that we know this, but we sometimes forget that there are certain portions of what we consider to be the city of Vallejo that are in fact an unincorporated county, patrolled by our sheriff's department.
Nobody's denying that, Mitch. I think we know that.
Right. No, I get that. So I'm just saying there are people who reside in what is for all intents and purposes, the city of Vallejo, but who are unincorporated residents who potentially could be appointed. I'm not trying to say that you have to do that, but
It's a choice.
right, but Mitch, those folks are in my district. I'm trying to divide it so that it's equal enough, but that it's also the community of interest. So, okay,
So I understand that. Aaron would have to appoint somebody either from my district, your district, John's district, or Jim's district. It would have to be somewhere else. I was just pointing out that that one probably is the most relevant to the city of Vallejo and would probably be the easiest. Although I don't know who down there she would appoint if she even chose to, but it would make the most sense to me.
you know what, John? Why did you have to bring up anything? It was going so well. Jim agreed with me. Life was moving. Can we just go back to, it's just each of us pick 3?
Okay.
And we hope that we pick couple folks that are in the unincorporated. Supervisor Sperry, can you handle how we originally had it set up?
Yeah, but, you know, I'm just concerned that we don't get unincorporated county represented. So, you know, I certainly will appoint someone from the unincorporated part. I mean, I don't have any problems with me, but I really hope that it's just not 1 or 2 people, that it has at least 5 members on there. And I guess I'm struggling why Aaron can't find somebody in the county that she would like to appoint. I mean, and to me,
I don't know why people are concerned that I couldn't find somebody. I've lived here my entire life.
that was my point, Aaron. So what I was saying, and so every supervisor appoints just 1 person from the unincorporated part of the county, and the other 2 at their choice. And so we have a minimum of 5.
Yeah, at a minimum of 5. Michelle, does that work? Are we filling in the blanks somewhat?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, that's what happens when you give us a choice.
Well, we have a total. How we get to the total is the option.
What else do you want us to do?
Nothing. I just wanted to note that, given the tight timelines that we're going to be experiencing, especially towards the end of this process, we are already working on getting a consultant on board that can help work out a process that will work for the county. Obviously, we'll be watching that legislative bill that we talked about a little earlier and make adjustments as we go. But there are certainly at least 2 outreach meetings that can occur prior to census data being released, so we can start talking about the communities of interest and doing some basic outreach and education to the general public so that they can be prepared to participate in the process as we get further down the line.
So on the makeup of the committee, and will it have its own bylaws? You know, when we did the general plan, it was all consensus driven. There wasn't votes that had to be taken as to where how the general plan ended up, but a really consensus driven kind of document as opposed to having to vote on every issue.
Well, I think we need to still work through that, and I know that Bernadette, if she's still on the line, will help us put together what that will look like.
There you are, Bernadette.
Yeah, if I may, I would suggest that it be, given the tight time constraints that we're going to be under, that it's going to be a fast-moving process. In conversations with the consultants that we're looking at or that we have gone through the presentations from, this body, this advisory committee, is really going to be providing the information, but that it's going to be really rushed at the end. So I think that the bylaws would kind of get a little bit more formalized than I think that we're going to have time to accommodate until the bill gives us a different timeline to adjust to.
Okay.
So if I may, through the chair to the county council, when I was attending one of the webinars that I was watching, I got the impression that each of us as supervisors could go out and start talking to our constituents about community of interest. Did I hear that right or hear that wrong?
Yeah, you definitely can. I mean, the process is very prescribed this time around, and so it's not going to be as as creative as possibly other people might be anticipating, because we have those strict constraints. So I don't see that there's a prohibition on that. The process is going to be daylighted. It's, as Michelle already shared, there's going to be multiple public hearings. So for you to gather that information, that's definitely something that would be talked about many times with the advisory committee, and then we'll be bringing back for you for multiple considerations throughout the process. So I don't see a problem with that at all.
Okay, Jim, you started on a motion?
Yeah, I was just going to move that it's a committee of 15 and that we have a minimum of 5 members of the committee will be from unincorporated county, and that each supervisor can select any 3 in the county. It doesn't have to be necessary from their district, and so that would be the motion.
Is there a second to that?
Gosh, I'll second it so we can have it on record that we agreed.
All right, Monica.
Do we have any, is that all you needed from us right now? I'll open it up to the public. Alicia, any speakers online?
Yes, sir, we do. Members of the public, if you wish to speak on this item, please use *6 to unmute yourself and state your name. Sir, it does not appear that anyone is unmuting themselves.
Okay, take it back. We have a motion, a second. Roll call.
Supervisor
Open
Hannigan.
up direction, I guess.
Yes.
Supervisor Brown.
Yes.
Supervisor Spearing.
Yes.
Supervisor Mashburn.
Yes.
And Chair Vasquez.
Yes. Did we provide enough direction, Michelle?
Yes, thank you, you did.
Thank you.
And we will be coming back shortly with an update of what the project timeline will look like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we'll go to, I think we filled the 15 minutes of public comment. Any board member comments? I have none. Mitch?